Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. I think I will be speaking fast on this one. When I sit up and I say to you, follow the evidence, this is something that's helped me out. And this is exactly what I said I was going to do. When I was in one of the live, it was morning time for me, nighttime for you all, and I was in one of the live streams, and a former talent show contestant began to say to me that I was talking smack, and then I can't remember that, but then someone else came along and said, no, you actually did X, Y, and Z. And so I said, okay, you know what, ladies, y'all are going to sit up and say this stuff about each other. I'll follow the evidence instead of just taking anybody's word for anything. I was glad that I did that because it's actually what we were told to do as Muslims anyway. If news reaches you about someone, try to verify it before you act on a rumor and regret it later. I can't remember exactly which book and verse that is, but which chapter and verse that is, but we were told to do it. So I somehow remember that. In the course of this conversation, I just said, I'll follow the evidence. I mean, you two are never going to agree with each other, so I'll follow the evidence. And what is the reason I didn't want to just take one side or another? Well, that's because, remember, this is about safety, and this is about being fairly treated. The golden sphere is about that, and the manosphere is about that. Defecting from a dysfunctional gynocracy of hypocrites that have been running the show and just pushing the men away. And then, according to the ladies, pushing the ladies away. Specifically MLS ladies, because of the men they might get. So, I understood it. I got it. And as I said, what I want for you is your rights. You being safe, you being fairly treated. That's what I'm here for. I'm not here to sit up here and argue about who looks like what. I don't even care about the former talent show contestant's looks. What I care about is, did she lie about her origin? And well, there are people that say she did. Somebody in the state of Washington, in the state of Washington, last name starts with a G. And she said it. I saw it on a screenshot this morning, my time. And I went and looked on YouTube to see if so-and-so still had the account. Same avatar. I'm talking about the one that said that she comes from two white parents, not her herself. And see, in light of this exposure, many of us have been silent over the last 2 days, and the ones that have been doing most of the talking are the ones who got vindicated. Rashid, Fran, unapologetically light-skinned. Look, I'm going to say this. I'm just going to call it what it is. If we follow the evidence, we owe Fran an apology. I shouldn't even say we. I wasn't willing to be that biased from the beginning with no evidence. But the golden sphere does owe her an apology. Not for not liking her, but for automatically assuming that she was lying and she was a psychopath. And for automatically listening to somebody else about her without hearing out both sides. I don't know who else said they would follow the evidence. I said I would. Oh, and the former talent show contestant got triggered. I'm all kinds of hypocrites, and I'm all kinds of black supremacist and unambiguous dark-skinned men posing as MLS and pro-black. And you know what? I've never wished that I was not since childhood have I ever wished that I was unambiguous and jet black until now. Wish I could be that just to troll the talent show contestant at this point, because now I am biased against her, but it's based on the evidence. Because you see, when I said I follow the evidence, I already told y'all what happened. I told you about the disparity between the two's reactions. Following the evidence is a good rule to go by. And I'm going to let you guys know now, all of y'all listening, straight up. If you have said something that you know is unfair to a category of people, your best bet, you can go ahead and come in the comment section or somebody's or under your own and just say, I said something, and even though I wasn't talking about everybody, I think it was unfair to a category. And I don't mean a behavioral category. Because if you insulted a bad behavioral category of people, you had every right to, and we all need to be doing that more often. I'm a firm believer that human beings need to start discriminating based on behaviors again. And discriminating harshly based on immoral behaviors. Firm believer in that. One of the reasons that I do hate a portion of the black community of my hometown is not because they sided with the guy against whom I had a fight in high school. It's not why. It's because they didn't care about the fact that he was a B word, A word coward the whole time. They gave him a pass because he could play basketball and he could dance. It's because they awarded him such esteem that he was able to translate that into earning a good living. I don't even hate that guy. I hate the ones that followed him because of some high school stuff. They did it into adulthood. Yes, I hate them. I hate them because of the immorality. They should be discriminated against. It has nothing to do with their DNA. They made immoral choices. Nuck them figures. And I'm saying that because we need to get back to discriminating based on that. And lying about one's origin when not forced to do so is part of that. It's not like me not telling y'all exactly where I am. Or you not telling us exactly where you all live. Or any of you not camming up. It's not like that. But I'm going to tell you all straight. That's what I'm going to be doing. Because frankly, if somebody comes to me and says, whether I rock with you, and if I rock with you, I rock with you. But whether I rock with you or not, regardless of how I personally feel about you, if you are an enemy or if you are a friend. Because understand, when somebody was able to point to something I said, even though I wasn't trying to disparage a particular category, I get it. On the surface, somebody may have really thought that's what I was doing, even though I was talking about two different mindsets I used to have. I mean, two different mindsets. One I used to have, the other one I have in adulthood. I was the one that didn't make clear that according to a previous mindset that I had in my teen years, I would have said a particular thing about an event in my adult years. I didn't clarify that. That's what I was talking about, but I didn't clarify it in that particular line. That's on me. If I got to apologize, I'll do it. I cussed somebody out, went back, couldn't find the evidence that it was them that said it, even though I myself feel pretty sure that it was. I didn't find the evidence anymore. It was gone. So I had to shoot an apology. It wasn't to be high and mighty. It was to be fair. And so that means that I'm going to have to suspend the ways that I feel about multiple peoples that I like and that I can't stand as far as I can throw them. And if I can't, it's for a good reason. But I will have to suspend them based on evidence. And if somebody comes clean beforehand, then later on someone says so-and-so said X, Y, and Z, I can say, yeah, but so-and-so also put an apology for it in either my comments or their own comments. I don't mind doing that. Now, I'm not saying this because it's my opinion that's always right. I'm saying this because this is a way that we can start fresh easily. Some grudges will be solved and some will not, but this is a way we can start fresh. This is an opportune time to sort of reboot ourselves. Now, if someone sends me something and I rock with you, but someone can send me something that you said that was unfair to a category, whether I call you on it publicly or privately, and I'll probably do it privately, but if it's clear that what you said was unfair, I'm gonna say something about it. If someone can send it to me in a Discord, this is probably the way that most people would know to reach me. If someone does wind up sending it to me in a Discord, that's it. I'm going to say whatever the evidence shows. If there's doubt, I'll interpret it to give you the benefit of the doubt. But if the doubt is cleared up, I'm going to say, okay, see, yeah, you screwed up. Because remember, the manosphere is not here to fight black women for being black women, and the golden sphere is not here to fight people of an unambiguous phenotype because they're unambiguous. Both are there because of mindsets that were targeted against them, not phenotypes. The black manosphere, and I give them credit, most men in the black manosphere, it's understood now. We don't have to say it. Every man in the black manosphere understands that it ain't every sister that's an enemy. You know what else? In the golden sphere, if you all think about it, if I say it, I bring it up, you will consciously remember that it ain't everybody of an unambiguous phenotype that is an enemy. But you speak as though you keep forgetting it. UADSBW. UADSBM. Like to worship, like to fetishize, like to insult us, like to compliment us. No, that's not how you say it. It's ICSH, inferiority complex suffering haters, or inferiority complex self-haters. Whatever one. But see, what I'm saying is we're talking about behaviors and mindsets. That's always been the opposition. When I got into my second fight in high school, he didn't look much different from me. I mean, a little bit more recognizable, but not much. But since he was a bit more recognizable and I was a bit more ambiguous than he was, he believed in the stereotypes. I must be weak. I wasn't fighting somebody that was UADSBM. And I was very well aware of that. Fast forward. Almost a year later, third guy with whom I had a fight in high school. Last fight I had. Let me tell you something about that. He was abundantly melanated. But when I started slugging it out with him, his boys jumped in to help him. Mine came in to cover my sides and my rear so that nobody could come and sneak up behind me. His friends and my friends ran the spectrum, because even though he did what he did because he felt comfortable, he still had friends that were, they weren't as abundantly melanated. They just weren't quite as ambiguous looking. There's levels to this, but the point is that I wasn't fighting him because of his phenotype. I was fighting him because and I didn't even know that that's why he felt so comfortable saying the stuff he said. And treating me like I was an inferior man. I was fighting him because he backed down to other people and stood up to me. Same reason for which I fought the second guy. But those who came to fight against either of us and those who came to help either one of us ran the spectrum. So in all honesty, we know that when we've had to fight because somebody was stupid enough to fight about phenotype, we've had help and allies that ran the spectrum. And even in the Pookie and Ray Ray versus educated lame arguments, to be honest with you, there have been guys that came up in bad areas, and there was some gangsters and street dudes that would encourage them and even defend them. Just to be fair, and I do not condone Pookieism. But is it okay to blame all of them for what a few did? No. And the ones who are anti-intellectual and vocally so, yep, they need to go. Start with them. Because it ain't about paying the bills and keeping the lights on as far as they're concerned. It's about being an N-word. Start with them, remove them. Or better yet, what we're already doing, defect from that area, that community. Because, if we're really going to be fair and be honest about a lot of things, we'll correct our own misconceptions anyway. One of which is that the black community is always the hood. That's a misconception. It is more often than not, but that's not always the case. My neighborhood was it was part of the black community. It became such as I was growing up there. The Huxtable neighborhood. I'll refer to it as that on this space. You know what, man? That wasn't a hood. You could ride your bike to the hood if you wanted. You could walk up to the corner to the gas station, cross the street, and then cross underneath the interstate. There's the hood. You could get there by walking if you wanted, but our neighborhood wasn't. And that's important to understand. Our neighborhood wasn't the hood. That's important to understand. Because what it means is that there is an option for a black community that is functional. There is such an option. It already exists. It's just small. And according to the stats, it's growing because you got more and more black men able to get into the middle class, even though the chances of a black man from the middle class falling out are the highest, because there is job discrimination. That is true. And if we're going to be fair and follow the evidence, there are studies that show things like this. So some of us want to take that right-wing approach that America has no discrimination left over against anybody black. And no, that's not true. It does. Studies show that. I saw them. It really does. There are things for which and y'all know I can't stand Anon and LSM, and I don't apologize for it. Can't stand Paul Bryan, and I hate Sock from the bottom of my black heart. He ain't even been around for over a year at this point. Y'all know that. But to give credit where it's due, there are things I learned from Anon and LSM because they put the evidence out there and I had to follow the evidence, and they had links to some of the historical accounts they were giving. That's in spite of what Fran was able to look up and find out that Anon didn't tell the truth about on military bases. I haven't done my own research to confirm it, but that's what she reported. But if I did the research and found that there was never a single military base that had more than one shooting on it, drive-by or otherwise, guess what? Then I have to give her credit because she did the research, found that out. And I also have to give him and LSM credit for the historical links that they posted to make some of the points that they made. Oh, it is very true. MLS folks in the black community have been getting a bad rep and ain't been starting stuff as a category. That's very true. Not in the States. I'm not even sure if it's been that way elsewhere. Somebody wanted to try to gaslight me and tell me that I was wrong about something. It turns out the Vincent Oje Rebellion in Haiti actually did precede the Haitian Revolution. And he was all kinds of mixed up. I mean, genetically mixed. But I looked it up. It did. It was a precipitant, actually. So, you know what? Yeah, a lot of negative stereotypes falsely been applied to MLS folks. A lot of negative stereotypes been applied to MLS folks in the United States based on what some mulattoes did in some other parts of the world, some of them. Chancellor Williams' book was a damn problem. And it's actually Muslim scholars that have debunked a lot of it. They've done that. This is done actually after John Henry Clark began to trust Chancellor Williams. John Henry Clark he didn't mean any harm. As far as I know, John Henry Clark meant well, but he trusted the wrong person, much like a lot of people in this golden sphere did. So he began to repeat these things because he thought Chancellor did his job. So this is not the first time this has happened, but it's led to misconceptions. I thank Anon and LSM for as much as I can't stand them, and I'm right to not be able to stand them, and they were wrong for the other stuff they did and said. They were wrong for how they handled my questions. But fair is fair, and this is the level we all gotta reach. I didn't reach this level on my own. I'm not bragging. I'm telling you I had good teachers. I'm telling you I had a good guidance system, but this is a level we all have to reach. When you would give credit, when you can't stand somebody, but also when you will, in fact, be willing to censure, even if it's privately willing to censure someone you rock with. And if you hear an accusation and you like the person, instead of flying off the handle at F you know what? The person that is accusing could be lying. They could be telling the truth. If you got evidence beforehand that they're lying, then you go ahead and say, you know what? I got evidence. You lying But if you don't have evidence that they're lying, and you don't have evidence they're telling the truth, then you say, I will follow the evidence. Because that's how I'm going to be moving from here on out. I want to be careful about what I say because I want to be fair, even if I don't like someone. Hell, even if I hate them, I want to be fair. If I say something nasty about somebody, if you hear me say something nasty about someone, I'm going to have a reason for doing it. And I will have seen what it was. I will have witnessed that they did it. Or I got a confession or something like that. So, I think this is a big help for us if we remember this. Because frankly, we forgot about this stuff. It's like we forgot how old we were, and we allowed these live streams, which were too long in and of themselves anyway, to derail us from the topic of safety and fair treatment. We started getting off into who looks like what and are they qualified with that appearance to say what they've been saying. And there were times we had legitimate debates about this. You come with some anti-black stuff, yep, it's time to start jumping on it. Because remember, let's be honest, a lot of us said we ain't anti-white, we ain't anti-black, and we weren't, at least consciously, but let's be honest about what we forgot to be, clearly, by name, openly, even though we were in our instincts. We need to consciously and by word be this way, and that is anti-dysfunction. Because in all honesty, I'm not looking for a place in which I'm just going to feel safe because everybody has some phenotypical resemblance. To me, that's not what's going to work. It's not what's going to be the case. I'm not going to be happy because I walk in a room and everybody looks like me. Or doesn't, for that matter. I'm going to be happy when I walk into a room somewhere in North America and the people are safe, even from each other, and they're fairly treated and treating each other fairly. When I can walk in and I see that, that's what's going to make me happy. And most of you, if you really think about it, you start thinking about the substance of it all, that's how you feel. Because you already know people can't keep their hands off. Men and women can't keep their hands off each other, even when the phenotypes are different sometimes. Y'all know this. The real thing is going to be function versus dysfunction. And to be honest with you, when I walk into a room and all of y'all phenotypically look alike, it ain't going to make no difference because you can go into, well, one, you don't really find that anywhere. But in the event that you do find it, then there's a class division. In the event that you do find it, family last names are a big deal and they fight each other about that. Y'all remember the Hatfields and the McCoys? What, you think you could look at somebody and just tell right off the bat that they were one if you didn't know either one of them from before? No. What will happen is that when you have, when all in the room have a culture and a mindset that values education without snobbery and respects knowledge and moral functionality, then that's when you will have safety and fair treatment for each other. Because how you gonna look for safety from others and fair treatment from others when we've been so unfair to each other and so dangerous to each other? Minus those who lie about their origin and lie about who they are. Minus those who lie even about what they've done in their lives and lie about who they've married. Even if it's by omission, take them out. Have we been fair to each other? And are we safe from each other? Well, if not, then what the work you looking for? You've undermined the petition before you signed it. And you're not going to all agree. But if you can at least follow the evidence and try to be fair and give the benefit of the doubt when there is a doubt, you're off to a good start. And if you're going to get sidetracked by phenotype and genotype, instead of forgetting that the real fight here is based on functional mindsets versus dysfunctional mindsets, then, okay, go ahead and start a community based on how people look. See how far that gets you. Thing wouldn't last a generation. You get one based on people's respect for knowledge and education without the opposite extreme effect of snobbery. Go ahead. Try that one, and you got something that could last as long as people don't step off of it. As long as people don't get distracted by dumb things like phenotype, genotype. Not being able to suspend their personal feelings about somebody, good or bad, in the face of evidence. that type of thing. As long as people can avoid those things, you got something that's going to last. Straight like that. Last thing I'm going to say before I go is this. I'm not saying that we should just quit and stop the discussions. What I am saying is that if we're going to talk about if it's actually a cause, then we need to bring our best selves to it. So what does this mean? This means some of you are going to have to put down them cigarettes. Some of you are going to have to stop staying up all night and then turn around and getting up and driving to work the next day. And then coming home, and when you need to be catching up on sleep, you start a live stream again or jump on someone else's. That's what it means. No, it really does mean that. It means you're going to have some sort of discipline in a way that's healthy for your mind and body. Getting enough rest. Avoiding things that cloud your judgment. You're probably going to have to put some of those things back in the pantry. And if you really, and here's the thing, if you just want to indulge for a little bit, that's cool if you're honest with yourself and with the audience about the fact that that's what you're doing at that particular stream. We up here just clowning and having jokes. Okay, fine. You were honest about it. Go ahead. But if you're actually going to sit up here and discuss an actual cause and what to do next and that sort of thing, you don't need to be up. You don't need to be there. You done only slept 2 hours a night before you need to be asleep now. You liquored up and pickled, judgment impaired, or even you just had an argument with somebody you love very much in real life, and you coming on to the live stream and you think you're going to just dump it on someone else. Man, shuck that fit. That's not how this works. You're going to hurt what you want to help if that's what you're going to do. If it's about a cause, you're going to have to bring your best self to it. If we fellowshipping and clowning and kikiing, then that's cool as long as we're honest about it and we're still not abusive of each other in the process. Be honest about whichever one you're going to be doing. And most of us are going to do a combination of both. But just if you're starting up a live stream and you serious about something at the time, state it. If you starting one up and you ain't serious, it's all jokes. Y'all want to have a roast session or a roast fest, and it's really just jokes. Say it. I don't recommend it, but say it. I hope this helps, because a lot of y'all really do have the potential to advance a cause of somebody's safety and fair treatment, so that another generation of kids ain't got to come up catching it from their own people because either they look a particular way or because they can read at the age appropriate grade level, or any combination of those two. Thanks for listening. Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout. Assalamu alaikum. Peace out to the next time.